So in this video, we're going to talk about the law of sines. The nice thing about law of sines is that it doesn't have to be used in a right triangle. It can be in any kind of triangle. You don't need a right angle. So the law of sines is a formula that relates angles and sides of any triangle, and it looks like that. So make sure you fill that into your notes. And we're going to apply this to a couple different examples. So when using the law of sines, on this page we had 3 different fractions. But in any type of problem, you really only need 2 fractions because it's going to be a proportion that you'll solve. So you only need that much of the formula for any type of problem. So when using the law of sines, you need an angle and the side that it is directly across from. So here's an angle, and then this would be the side that it is directly across from. So that's going to give you 1 fraction, and then you need another set. So angle, side that it's across from. So the angle always goes with sine. So sine of 35 degrees over the side that it's across from. So that would be over 12 is equal to sine of the other angle, which was 71, over the side that it's across from is x. And then you can cross multiply and solve for x. So when you cross multiply, this would look like x times the sine of 35 is equal to 12 times the sine of 71. Then we have to get x by itself, so x is being multiplied by sine 35, so we will divide by sine 35 to both sides. Cross this out. So then x is equal to 12 times the sine of 71 over the sine of 35. And you can put that into your calculator, which I'm going to show you on another slide. Okay, so first you want to make sure you're in the right mode. It has to be in degree mode. So make sure degree is highlighted, and then you can start typing in 12 sine 71. You need that parenthesis there. That's really important. And then divide by sine 35. Enter. So about 19.8. You need that parenthesis. Put that in your calculator. X is equal to about 19.8. If you don't get that in your calculator, and I'm going to show you how, then you might not be in the right degree mode, or you might have missed the parenthesis that's really important after that top angle. So keep those 2 things in mind. Okay, let's look at number 3. So remember, you only need 2 fractions because we're setting up a proportion. So your formula would look like that. So we want an angle and the side that it is across from. So here's 59, angle, and then the side that it's across from will be x. So I'm going to loop those together. That's going to give you 1 fraction. 73 across from 20 gives you the other fraction. So let's plug in. So remember, the angle goes with the sine on top. So sine of 59 over the side that it's across from, x, is equal to the sine of 73 over 20, the side that it's across from. And then you can cross multiply. So this would look like 20 times the sine of 59 is equal to x times the sine of 73. Now we have to get x by itself. So we'll divide by sine of 73 to both sides. So when we do that, we get x is equal to 20 times the sine of 59 over the sine of 73. And then you'll put that into your calculator, which I will show you. All right, so my mode is already in degree from the problem before. So 20 sine 59. You need that parenthesis, very important. And then divide by sine 73. Enter about 17.9. I will show you. And you should get x to be equal to about 17.9. Now, if you don't do that, if you don't get that in your calculator, a couple things: check your mode and also make sure that you are putting a parenthesis after the 59. It makes a big difference in your calculator. Okay, let's look at number 5. So set up my formula. All right, so we're looking for an angle on the side that it is across from. So 29 would be across from 15. So they're going to loop together. And then x would be across from this angle that's not there. So we're actually going to use the 103 and the 29. Remember, our triangle sum is 180 degrees. So take 103 and 29 away from 180 to get that missing angle that's across from x, which is 48. So this angle is 48 degrees. You need that angle because that one is across from x. There's nothing across from the 103. So that 103 is only there to help you find the angle that's across from x. And now we can plug into our proportion. So the sine of 48 over x is equal to the sine of 29 over 15. And then cross multiply. So 15 times the sine of 48 is equal to x times the sine of 29. Divide by sine of 29 to get x by itself. And x is equal to 15 times the sine of 48 over the sine of 29. And you're going to put all of that into your calculator, making sure you're in the right mode and making sure that you put parentheses after the 48. So when you plug that into your calculator, you get x to be about 23. So now you're going to try problems 2, 4, 6, and 8. And I will post the answers so that you can check after you submit them on your Edpuzzle. So this is what problems 2, 4, 6, and 8 should look like. If your work looks like that, but you're not getting those answers, check to make sure you put a parenthesis after that last top number in your fraction in the calculator and make sure that you are in the right mode. Okay, so now we're going to use the law of sines to find an angle. So you use the same formula and the same thing where you want the angle on the side that it's across from. It's just now x is an angle instead of a side. So x would be across from 9. So that's an angle on the side that it's across from. That's one of your fractions. And the other one would be 77 and 14. So let's set up what our formula would look like. So remember, the angle always goes with sine. So it would be the sine of this time x over the side that it's across from is 9 is equal to the sine of 77 over the side that it's across from is 14. And then we can cross multiply. So when you cross multiply, it would look like 14 times the sine of x is equal to 9 times the sine of 77. Now we need to get the sine of x by itself because we can't really break those apart yet. So we're going to divide by 14 because it's being multiplied and do it to both sides. So then you have just the sine of x is equal to 9 times the sine of 77 over 14. So we're going to put all of this fraction into your calculator. Come over here and give a little bit more room. And we're going to take that out to about 4 numbers past the decimal point. So all of that, making sure you put a parenthesis after the 77 into your calculator, would give you about 0.6264. And I will show you how to put that into your calculator also. So remember, when you're looking for an angle, you're always using the inverse. So to get just x, we're going to take the inverse of that decimal. So sine -1, because that's your inverse, of 0.6264. And you're going to put that into your calculator. So when you put that into your calculator, you should get x to be... So I'm already in degree mode. I'm going to type 9 sine 77, important parenthesis, and then divide by 14. So it gives me about 0.6264. So now I'm going to do inverse sine. So second sine, 0.6264. Enter. So that angle is about 38.8 degrees. About 38.8 degrees. So we'll look at one more where you're trying to find the angle. So remember, you want the angle and the side that it's across from. So this angle, which is x, would be across from the 15 side. And then 31 and 126 are across from each other. So we're going to fill in our law of sines with that. So the angle goes with sine. So this is the sine of 126 over 31 is equal to the sine of x over 15. And then cross multiply. So 15 times the sine of 126 is equal to 31 times the sine of x. Now we need to get the sine of x by itself first, and then we'll do the inverse. So we're going to divide by 31 to both sides. And you get sine x is equal to 15 times the sine of 126 divided by 31. So first we're going to put this fraction into your calculator and get a decimal going 4 numbers out for that. I'm going to come up here, a little bit more room. So the sine of x is equal to, so when you put that into your calculator, and I'll show you how to do that, you get about 0.3915. And then to get the angle, remember whenever you're looking for an angle, you have to do the inverse. So x is equal to inverse sine, or sine -1, of 0.3915. So you'll put that into your calculator, and you get x to be about. Okay, so clearing out my calculator, I'm going to type in 15 sine 126, important parenthesis, divide 31. So you get about 0.3915. So now inverse sine, so second sine, 0.3915. Enter. So you get about 23 degrees for that angle. 23 degrees. Now you're going to try number 11 and 12, and then I will show you some answers for those two. So here are your answers for 11 and 12. If you didn't get that, make sure that you had parentheses after that top number when you put it in your fraction before you got the decimal, and make sure you check your mode also. It needs to be in degree mode.